Hello, welcome to the Health In Show, an affiliate program of Homeopathy World Community. You've come to the right place to tune in and participate with your comments and questions. Love is the greatest healer of all, but sometimes, in order to change our emotions, we must take action in other spheres of our lives. We speak with experts in alternative and complementary health fields and hope you will benefit in some small or great way. Remember, you are wherever your thoughts are. Make sure your thoughts are where you want to be.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is the Health In Show, and we're delighted to have you join us today. Just remember, anytime during the show, you are welcome to connect with us at 919-518-9773. We have a chat that you're welcome to come into. Just put your name, nickname, whatever you like, and you can comment, ask questions. We're monitoring it, and we'd love to have you join us anytime you'd like. And Amnon is here. Hi, Amnon.
Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
Oh, good. It's nice to see you again.
It's nice to see everybody.
It's nice to see everybody. So I'm going to turn it over to Kavitha, and Kavitha's going to take it from there and introduce our guest today. And we're going to have a wonderful show. I know we will. Go ahead, Kavitha. How are you?
I am good, Madeline. Thank you.
Good.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to Health In Show. This is Kavitha Kokunur, President and CEO of Homeopathy World Community. These health in shows are for educational purpose and are dedicated to Debbie Beck, founder of Homeopathy World Community. I always thank Amnon for helping us with health in shows. Let me start with quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Homeopathy cures a larger percentage of cases than any other forms of treatment and is beyond doubt safe and more economical. Today is October 8, 2019, and in this Health In Show, we have Paola from Americans for Homeopathy Choice and Jim Turner, who speaks about legal status of homeopathy in USA. We started our Health In Shows last year, November 2018, as a tribute to Debbie on behalf of her birthday, with honorable guest as Dr. Nancy, who spoke about citizens' petition and FDA changes. That time, I and Kathy realized that we should bring Paula to Health In Show. And today, she is here with us. Paola Brown is president and founder of Americans for Homeopathy Choice, the voice of a growing number of mothers and other homeopathy users who wants to protect their right to choose homeopathy. Paula is a wife and mother of 3, and she received her bachelor's in English education and master's in curriculum and instruction. You can learn more about at her website homeopathychoice.org. It was very nice meeting her last year at JNC 2018 conference at Phoenix. Let us welcome the dynamic lady who created waves of awareness in homeopathic community. Hello, Paula. Please come in.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Paula. And now let me introduce Jim Turner. He is an attorney in USA, represents business as well as individuals and consumer groups in a wide variety of regulatory matters concerning food, drug, health, and environmental and product safety matters. He has appeared before every major consumer regulatory agency, including the Food and Drug Administration, Environmental Protection Agency, Consumer Product Safety Commission, and Federal Trade Commission. Let us welcome Jim to our show. Hello, Jim.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. I look forward to the show.
Wonderful. And we also have our board member, Kathy Lemon here, who will be in our show. And so let us start. Paula, please tell us about Americans for Homeopathy Choice in brief for the people who do not know.
So Americans for Homeopathy Choice is an organization made up of women and, well, not only women, we have guys too, but we're mostly made up of women and mothers who want to defend our access to homeopathy. The FDA released a draft guidance in 2015, right, Jim? And
2017.
2017, thank you. I'm terrible with numbers. And it got us very concerned. And so we organized, and we are excited to tell you guys about our journey, about our advocacy work, and how you can support us.
And would you like to share your recent activities and the PowerPoint slides we can go through?
All right, we'll just go right into it then. So, I'm calling this presentation, Jim and I are calling this presentation Learning from Our Advocacy Journey, because I know that so many of you guys listening today are going to feel, that you have passion and concern over perhaps homeopathy or other different modalities or different things that you're concerned about. And I think it's important to talk about our advocacy journey so that you can learn from it, and so that you can support what we're doing, and so that you can do other good things too. So if you want to show the second slide, go ahead and do that. I think Ammon is going to do that, right? So our goal was to turn a crisis into an opportunity and to organize. And so the FDA released a draft guidance, and Jim is going to talk about what that means exactly, that draft guidance. But my experience has been that when a threat comes up, when you get a threat, that is when people are most engaged and most willing to do something. That's when they're upset, they're concerned, and there's a lot of energy going into that situation. And that's the most important time to organize and activate. And that's what we did. I had a pretty good connection with a bunch of mothers because I used to teach a lot of homeopathy classes, just intro classes. I'm not a professional homeopath, but just kind of mom to mom, what is homeopathy? Why do I use it and love it so much? And so it's important to always see a threat or something that you're so concerned about as an opportunity. That's exactly how we treated the situation with the FDA. It was an opportunity. And I know that a lot of countries around the world are facing a lot of threats when it comes to homeopathy. And, I just want to encourage you to see those as opportunities to organize and to put that energy into something really good. So if you want to go to the second slide, the third slide, slide number 3, our goal has been, and something that Jim can even talk to us a little bit about, is the consumer voice. What's really interesting about the consumer voice is that it tends to disorient government agencies like the FDA, who are supposed to protect the consumer. So, that's what the government is for, any government, around the world. The government is meant to protect the people, right? To support and serve the people. And when they are doing things and the people come out in a very organized fashion and say, no, you're not protecting me. Actually, what you're doing is harming me because I need access to homeopathic medicines in this way. It disorients the government. And the mother's voice, the women's voice especially, can be very, very powerful to any advocacy work. And we have found that it has been very powerful in the homeopathy work. And, Jim, he's kind of the pro. He's the one that has kind of helped me understand the value and the power behind the consumer voice. So if you want to chime in, Jim, and add anything.
Well, I think that the consumer voice actually helps government get oriented. It's the whole idea of the whole regulatory framework is to protect and empower consumers. And what government tends to do, and I've been working on this. I started out in the late 1960s working with Ralph Nader here in the States, and we did a whole lot of work on many regulatory agencies, and my particular area was FDA. And you could see that they had become, or they started out being advocates for the industries that they were regulating, rather than advocates for the consumer. And when the consumer voice got to be heard, when people started hearing the consumer voice, all of a sudden the agencies had to reorient themselves. And that was very important, because the second thing that regulatory agencies and governments are supposed to do besides protecting the people is empower them. And what we want to do is empower people to make their own choices for their own well-being. So they need to have information, they need to have choice, they need to have the government listen to them, and then the government, as it's on its protective role, make sure that the products are safe. In the case of homeopathy, since 1938, homeopathy has been recognized in the United States law, and it has been treated by the FDA from 1938 until 2017 as a unique and different form of drug. It's defined, homeopathy is defined as a drug. That is, anything in the homeopathic pharmacopoeia is considered a drug under our food and drug law. And the result of that is that they are regulated by the drug regulators, but from 1938 to 2017, they treated them as different. The reason they were different is that homeopathic remedies are inherently safe. Allopathic drugs are inherently dangerous. Because the chemical drugs are inherently dangerous, a regulatory process was set in place in 1962 that says they have to be reviewed by the FDA, and they have to be examined and be sure that their benefits outweigh their risks, or they can't then be used. Only after that balancing is done are those products allowed to come on the market. And for one active ingredient to go through that process, it costs at a minimum $100 million. So here we are in a situation where homeopathy, which is inherently safe, is very inexpensive compared to the pharmaceutical world, is suddenly being burdened by the FDA through its guidance with having to do a $100 million study on each of its active ingredients. That's what became what looked like a threat, but which was really an opportunity. And people came out of the woodwork and said, no, that's crazy. You're undermining the health of the public by doing that. And we started on the quest that Americans for Homeopathy Choice is moving forward with right now. I want to say let me say one last thing, Paula, about the law, and that is that the FDA put it out as a guidance. And that guidance is, in its own words, not the law. It's not even an argument that is what the law is. It is a statement that the FDA is going to treat it as if it were the law. And if you don't like it, come on in and talk to us about it, and we'll try to change it for you. That's what they tell the manufacturers. But for the consumer, there's no way to come into the FDA and talk to them as an individual consumer. The whole consuming public has to be represented. That's what Americans for Homeopathy Choice is doing.
Well, that's exactly right. I think, if you go to the next slide number 4, you'll see that, what we're taking issues, what the FDA is doing, and what Jim just talked about was the draft guidance. And so this is kind of interesting. For me, someone from the outside, I was just a mom that was coming in trying to, figure this stuff out and understand this stuff. What Jim helped me understand what he was talking about is that the agencies like the FDA, they release these guidances all the time. And the guidance is meant to be like a public statement of how the agency will handle certain issues. And so we've had a guidance for homeopathy that's been around since the 80s, and it's guided FDA and how they're supposed to treat homeopathy. It's mostly for their staff and their deputies when they do inspections and different things. They have a guide on how to do that. So the idea is that the guidance has to be in harmony with the law. It can't go against the law, and it can't change the law, and it can't reinterpret the law. It's supposed to just be a guide for how we're supposed to interpret the law appropriately. And what we're seeing with this draft guidance is this draft guidance came out, it reinterpreted the policies and the way that FDA has treated homeopathy, which means it's reinterpreting the law. And, from I think an American standpoint, if you don't even know about homeopathy, what you should be concerned about is that the agency is overreaching. They're trying to redefine and create new laws through a guidance, which is not legally binding, and that's not what you're supposed to do. Right, Jim?
That's correct.
Yep, you've trained me well. So, what we did is I want to talk about how we organize, and we've actually accomplished quite a bit. We've been around technically for 2 years, and we have gotten most of the stuff that we've accomplished has been in this past year.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, go for it.
So I'm a layman, right?
Me too.
So I come with layman ears. So am I hearing you correctly when you say that they are basing their law on information that they really don't have, that they really don't know what they're basing their laws on? They need to be educated about what it really is.
You're saying that right, except for one word.
Okay.
the only people that can create laws is Congress, right?
Right.
And technically the judicial branch if they rule something in a court case, right? So FDA does not create laws. They're supposed to enforce the law. They're the policemen. The policemen don't make the laws, they enforce the laws. What they're doing is they're releasing kind of like a handbook for their police officers that does not comply with the law. And that's basically called changing the law, but just by enforcement.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so they need you to really educate them so that they can,
Yeah.
like everything else, so they can create better guidelines. Yeah.
Well, actually, just to be clear, the guidance is not something that exists in the law. It's not something that actually means anything. The guidance is the information they give to their inspectors when they go out to the field, and they say to the inspector, when you go to a factory and look at how a drug is produced, here are the things we want you to look for. And then they lay out what those things are. Back in the early, let's say the 1970s, consumer activists got very agitated about the fact that there were these unknown documents that the inspectors were using to go into the, and not only consumer activists, but business got very unhappy with the fact that there was this written document that no one could see. And they would go into these places and they would announce this and that and the other. And so it was made, a demand was made that they make those things public. So then they made them public, and what we discovered when we saw them is that they just say what they believe the law is. They do not care whether it is or isn't the law. They tell you right in the actual document itself, this is not the law. It is not meant to create any new rights. It is not meant to take anything away. If you believe we've interpreted the law incorrectly, come and talk to us about it, and maybe we can figure out something. They say that right in the document itself. Now, what we're saying is they are only allowed to do what the law says, and the law says homeopathy is legal. It does not say that homeopathy has to go through double-blind, placebo-controlled studies, and it does, and it says there's an exclusion in the 1962 law, in addition, that says if something is generally recognized as safe, that it also does not need to go through the program that they're talking about. And we're saying the law says homeopathy does not go through the same procedures that the inherently dangerous chemicals that are used as drugs go through. And we filed a petition with the FDA to say, change your guidance from an interpretation of the law to an announcement of what you believe the law is, and if you don't get it right, we can go to court and challenge it. And so that the guidance itself is not law, and
Jim,
that's the most important thing.
Jim, I think you missed what Marilyn was asking. It's not guidance after the fact that something became law. It's educating and guiding Congress, like Paula said, to pass a law with information at their hand, not just because they don't know what to do. They pass laws that are messing up everything because they don't have the information. And that was the guidance thing.
Well,
it's the guidance
in this particular situation, the Congress got it exactly right. The person who drafted the law was a homeopath. He was a senator and a homeopath.
Okay.
He drafted the entire food and drug law, and it was passed with an explicit recognition that homeopathy is different from other drugs.
Okay.
And homeopathy has been treated that way from 1938 until 2017. It was treated under the law as it should have been. Then in 2017, it was the FDA, not Congress, the FDA that said, irrespective of what the law says, we're going to interpret it this way. And Congress has been totally supportive of us in our position. We've not had any serious problem with Congress saying we like the FDA. Our problem has been Congress has been going over to the FDA and saying, why are you doing this?
Okay.
This is not in accordance with the law.
Gotcha.
So
All right,
Oh,
so
we gotcha.
let's keep going. Okay,
good.
got
Thanks.
it.
Good. That's good.
Great.
This is good information for everybody.
Yeah, it is really good. And it's so the bottom line is that many years ago in 1938, they set the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act brings homeopathy under the protection of the law. And we like the law. It's a good law. And then what happens is FDA has come out and they've released a guidance that basically reinterprets the law in an illegal way that hurts our consumer access to homeopathy. And that's what we're taking issue with. Now, Jim mentioned a petition. A petition is a really important thing. We're used to hearing of petitions, and it's this thing where you sign a bunch of signatures and hopefully it garners a lot of attention. And then there's so many signatures on a petition, and then you get some leverage. And this is actually very different. A citizen's petition is actually enacting a legal process in the law that actually triggers a whole legal chain of events. We sent this official petition to the FDA, which means we have an issue with your draft guidance. Instead, we want you to take the old guidance that's still in place, the old guidance, and level it up to a regulation, because a regulation is a law. So we were saying, what if they need more guidance? If the law isn't clear enough, we need to give them something that's more clear. Well, we need to take the old guidance that's been in place since the 80s, level it up to a regulation. So that has triggered a whole chain of events in Congress. In the FDA process. And it gives us a lot of options to basically force the FDA to take this issue seriously, to listen to us, to talk to us, and to make sure that this isn't something that they just brush off and keep doing whatever they want to do.
So far, how many have signed, Paula? Because we remember last year when we were enforcing everyone to sign the petition. So do you know how many have signed?
Yes, we have over 16,000 comments in our petition, and it's not just signing your name. You have to leave a comment, and it can just be really simple, like, I support this petition, thank you very much, And we asked, if you do want to go, we can provide a link to the show, but you can go to signthehomeopathypetition.com. That's just our landing page for that. And it has I call it the idiot's guide, because the FDA's website is so complicated. It has a step-by-step how to leave a comment on the citizen's petition. Be polite, be very polite to the FDA, because guess what? I'm meeting with them in November for the 4th time. I definitely don't need to meet with a bunch of people that got a bunch of angry comments from homeopathy lovers. So be very polite. Tell them that you support this petition, sign your name, because technically the petition did close, but you're still allowed to submit comments. So while it's open, let's let the comments keep coming in. So signthehomeopathypetition.com is where you can add your comment, and there's a step-by-step guide for that. So thank you for bringing that up. And the number of comments we got on this petition absolutely got the attention of the FDA. And we have reviewed every single one of those 16,000 comments, and 99.999 of them are positive and in favor of what we're looking for. And so that's important too. That shows Congress, that shows the FDA that Americans are concerned about this, that we do want our freedom to access homeopathy. And it's definitely moved the ball down the court to allow us to have these discussions with FDA. So another thing that we've done, if you want to show them slide number 5 here, is we have raised our voice on social media. And we've worked together. We threw together a website. This is like day 1 when Americans for Homeopathy Choice was formed. I have amazing gals who have supported, have been part of this. I have not done this by myself. And amazing, amazing consumers. We have a really, really fantastic group of mature, collected, well-spoken, especially women who are part of our movement. And we went ahead and had a special fly-in day in DC. A fly-in day is when your supporters come to Washington, DC, and they have appointments with their representatives ahead of time, and they meet with them. And anyways, our goal was to connect with Congress. And so we have gone to DC actually multiple of times. And we've established relationships with different congressional offices that we continue to work on today. And I'd love to tell you kind of the process for getting this fly-in event to be successful. And we're looking at doing another one. We're trying to get the timing right because we have elections coming up. So it's kind of like, do we want to do before and then everybody gets reelected, then we have to start over. So we're probably thinking about doing it after. So if you want to go to slide number 6, you'll see that we got over 100 different participants, mostly women and mothers, to come. Our goal was to get 80 people to fly out to DC. Then we got 150 people coming, and then we had to turn people away because of our space and everything. We've never done this before. It's going to be so much easier next time because we have a little bit of a reference for understanding the numbers. But we had an amazing volunteer named Laura who does all of our congressional relationship. We have, so many other volunteers like Kaylee, who's been doing our website and different things. And so it really came up very well. And, if you go to the next slide, number 7, what did we do ahead of time to prepare? 4 months before the meeting, we had a team of volunteers who visited every single congressional office on Capitol Hill. That's almost 600 offices, if you include the territories. And they dropped off announcements about our event coming up. And we started emailing, and then we had all of our volunteers start making appointments. And that means we had to train our people. These are just regular moms. Like, I didn't know how to call a congressional office and make an appointment. I don't know what the process is like, and so we trained them ahead of time via the internet, via recordings. And we said, okay, this is how you do. We wrote the email out for them. We, helped them figure out, who do you ask for? Gave them all that information. And then, of course, we had to prepare the logistics, the dinner, the congressional meetings, because we had a congressional briefing. We had to reserve a special room, work with the congressional office. All of those logistics we did ahead of time. Jim, I was going to move on and talk about during the event, unless you wanted to interject something about our prep work. And
no, I think that's fine. And I believe that the handbook for congressional relations is on the website. Is that correct?
Not the handbook, no. But you do have access to it if you want to join our active team who is connecting with Congress. We do give you access to that for free, but we didn't put it freely on the web just to kind of, keep our.
Well, I guess we didn't want to train the other side about how to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We can't show everyone our cards, but we do have that, and it's available to anyone who, is inspired by this movement. We need more support. Let me tell you, we're getting by, with just a small amount of volunteers, and it delivers a huge impact, but we need more.
Do we have this on our Facebook page on HWC's supporting this on we have to look into that.
Yes.
I think, do we have that, Kavitha?
Yes, Madeline,
Okay,
we have kept there, like anytime we get the citizens petition, we promote it on HWC, letting them to sign the petition and also go to their website and see all the upcoming events.
Yeah, but I'm referring to even volunteers. I think it'd be nice
to go to our website, homeopathychoice.org, get involved. There's a button on our website, homeopathychoice.org, get involved. You get a bunch of options. You can send us an email, or you can fill out the form, because some people just are really uncomfortable speaking.
Yeah, I think we should post this on our Facebook page for you, because we might have a little different audience that could come, post your website. And
I suggested her, Madeline, that we will promote on our website.
Yeah.
We can,
and Facebook.
There is one thing to say about this, and that is that it's a continuously developing and growing effort. There are basically 535 people on Capitol Hill who need to be informed. Now, this is the important point here, is for them to understand we have congressional advocates, and they're saying to the FDA, we believe that you're overreaching with your guidance. And in fact, there widely among members of Congress, there is an animosity toward guidances themselves. They are not the law, and it's very irritating to Congress to have the law be continuously undermined by these guidances. And so there is a very fertile field. What we need to let them know is that there are congressional leaders who are speaking to FDA about homeopathy and saying, we think you are overreaching. And we would like everybody's member of Congress to hear that from their constituency. It doesn't matter whether they're Democrats or Republicans, liberals or conservatives. They need to hear from the people in their communities that we're interested in homeopathy and we believe the FDA is overreaching. Please support the members of Congress that are working with the FDA to stop the overreaching. And so it's an infinite process of adding more and more people to talk to their members of Congress. There's no limit to how many can be involved. And the group that has been involved so far have been extremely effective. And anything that's added to that makes it even more effective.
Well, and the important thing is we've been going at this for 2 years already. It's so important at this point that we get more fresh energy into this process, because, you know, those of us that have been doing this, we're battle weary, and we're going to stick with this through to the end until we get the results that we want. But if you feel like you're being inspired by what we're saying, we need you to step up and help, because we're not going to be able to carry this on our own without growing and growing our support. We've just primed the pump, but we haven't even started fighting yet. We haven't even gotten out there and started doing what we need to do. And so we do need you guys to step up and to volunteer. We always need donations. Homeopathychoice.org on our website. You can donate to us. We actually have a really awesome bear pack area where you can donate $25 or more a month, and you become a member of what we call the bear pack, because we're all like mama bears and papa bears who are like fiercely defending our access to homeopathy. And, you know, people bears, people, you know, if you have pets, you're a mama bear and a papa bear too. So, you know, visit homeopathychoice.org, and financial support is really a big thing for us. So anyhow, we were talking, Jim, about, you know, our event and what we did ahead of time. I'm going to move into what we did actually during.
Oh, here for a second. That's a tremendous work, and that is really great to know, Paula. And can I ask either Kathy or Deepak if they have any questions? Just one question we will take. Kathy and Deepak, please go ahead.
Kavita ji, I will ask one question from the Jim in the past. So please continue with the session for now, and I will ask in the last 10 minutes.
Oh, and Kathy?
You know, I am absolutely 100% in support of everything that Americans for Homeopathy Choice is doing. I was able to work with them a lot more when they were just getting going. I was with them when they made their first presentation to the FDA. It's a marvelous, well-organized group, and I'm very much in support. So at this point, I don't have any questions.
Well, actually, Kathy,
wonderful.
we should thank you, Kathy, because you're the one that introduced Jim Turner, our attorney that you guys are listening to Americans for Homeopathy Choice. And it's been a match made in heaven. So you've been a huge part, you know, in making that connection.
Paula, I thanked Kathy in the beginning of the show that she told me, hey, Kavita, we have to bring Paula. So that is wonderful. And she's our board member. And since I'm not in the chat, and Kathy and Marilyn are taking any questions, Marilyn, do we have any question, or let Paula continue?
Well, there is, let's see, this is from Deepak, and he's asking, please, Jim, can you talk about the legal status of the community guidelines in the USA? Does that make sense?
I'm not sure what that means, the community guidelines.
Jim,
Okay.
Jim, here is my
Okay.
question about the home. And the question about the homeopathic communities, the online community, like we have the SWC. So what are the guidelines for these type of communities in the US?
Well,
because in India, we are having so many guidelines for every type of communities.
in the US, if you are not selling a product, you are free to say whatever your experience is, however you want to say it. There's no regulation. You can have a Facebook community, and they can talk about their experience of using a remedy for a particular event or series of symptoms, or however. They can have a robust and full-blown discussion with no problems. There's no authority that can intervene with that. The only authority that can intervene is if somebody is selling a product and then they start to make claims for that product. That's when authorities from both the federal authority from FDA, the state authority from the state food and drug regulators, and then you even will have local authorities saying what you can or can't say or do, both on the website for like Facebook group, on the internet, or in a store. But if you are not selling a product or selling a remedy, you are free to say and do whatever you wish, and then you can base it on your own experience. You can make any claims that you want, and you will not be afoul of anything that is a regulation. So that's the touchstone. If you're not selling something, you are not inhibited.
That is wonderful, Jim. Thank you so much for taking the important.
Thank you, Jim. That's
Good
great to know.
question.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
very good question.
Go ahead, Paula.
Okay, so we'll keep going here. Very good. And I love these questions. So please feel free to interrupt me again if you have any questions, or Jim, and we'll be happy to
Okay.
pause as we're going. But
Okay, one more second. Let me just remind
right.
people that they can come into the chat. If you've just joined us, we have a chat. You're welcome to come in there, ask questions, comment, and we are monitoring it. Just put your name under our video and add a comment there. You can call us in directly into the studio at 919-518-9773, and we love questions. All right.
Very good. I love you. Thank you for saying that. So, so if you go to slide 8 there, my friend, yep, there you go. And you can hit play, but don't turn up the volume on this one. What you guys are watching here is we were at the Samuel Hahnemann Monument in Washington, D.C. There's actually a monument dedicated to Samuel Hahnemann. He's the father of homeopathy. And what we did is right before the event started, we decided to have a little toast to Samuel Hahnemann. So we all met at the Samuel Hahnemann Monument. And we had like sparkling cider because that was cheaper.
Yeah.
And and you know, so I'm sipping there some sparkling cider, little plastic little cups. And we did I gave a toast to Samuel Hahnemann, and it was really, really fun. And you know, I think it's important that as part of this advocacy work that we have a little bit of fun to, you know, to keep the fire burning and the enjoyment there. So these are just all the early birds who arrived, and this wonderful, wonderful system of medicine that is homeopathy. I mean, I have an amazing healing journey. My family, I mean, I have 3 kids who, like, oh my gosh, they get sick all the time with, you know, I just had someone here just the other day, Sunday night, two days ago, with a high fever, puking, like rolling around. She was hurt, you know, so sick from this little stomach bug that she got. And, you know, I gave her 1 dose of belladonna, and it helped so much. It was like almost too easy. You know, I'm like, oh, that belladonna is just so wonderful. And, you know, I have a little boy here who just, like, I tell you, he like stepped on a needle last week, like a needle was sticking out of his foot. And I'm like, dude, you just stepped on a toothpick 2 weeks ago and it got like super infected. Like, you need to be more careful. But again, no antibiotics. Of course, I will take him to an emergency room and urgent care if we need to. But why? When the homeopathy resolves it, when it just improves, when the pain goes down, when they sleep and they wake up and the next day it's just better and better. So, you know, I love homeopathy, and that's why we are all here doing this toast to Samuel Hahnemann. There's Jim. There's a little cameo of Jim right there sipping on his cider. So, yeah, you know, moms with babies, and we just made so much sacrifice to go to DC and to do this. So let me tell you what actually happened. You know, the toast is just kind of the fun part, but we had a training dinner on the first night where we trained everyone on how to talk to Congress, what things to talk about, what things not to talk about. We told them to focus on homeopathy and avoid, you know, because sometimes when you go into these offices, you want to say, you know, like all these things about why conventional pharmaceutical drugs suck or something like that. And it's just not appropriate. Focus on homeopathy. So just really good tips on how to connect with the congressional offices. Focus on what we're here about, and don't worry about the stuff we're not here about, you know, and how to handle difficult questions. You know, some of us are so passionate about homeopathy. We know so much about it that when we get asked a simple question, we give too much information. So we taught them milk before meat, right? You feed a baby milk at first before you give them some meat. And so we taught them milk before meat. So it's just this training dinner about how to connect with Congress. We actually, before that, I forgot to mention this, Jim, we actually sent them a training manual. So they were able to read this ahead of time and get prepared, because everybody was so nervous. I mean, a lot of these women have never met with Congress before. So they were able to read ahead. We had a training dinner the night before where we reviewed the manual, gave them some last minute talking tips, answered questions. And what was amazing is right after, so that training dinner was the first night. The next day, 150 people, boom, all over Capitol Hill. I mean, it was so fun to see these women walking the halls. They were, you know, meeting with their local congressperson's office, and then they went over to the Senate buildings and met with their senator. So we really worked these women. They were busy, busy, busy. And the ones that didn't have as many appointments for whatever reason, they were delivering folders to offices and saying, hi, we're here today. We wanted to let you know, please come to our congressional briefing later today. And then later on that second day, the day after the training, we had a congressional briefing, and Jim spoke at it. I spoke at it, and we also had Dr. Ronald Whitmont, who's the past president of the American Institute of Homeopathy. He spoke, And so we kind of packed, you know, the legal side was covered through Jim, the medical side was covered through Ron, and then I spoke as a mom and as someone who, you know, is not being paid to do this work. I'm not being paid as president of Americans for Homeopathy Choice. I'm there because I want to protect access to homeopathy for my children and my grandchildren, because I don't want them to go through what I had to learn the hard way. And the hard way really stinks. So,
Paola, can I interrupt you? So, your prophylaxis, does that come in your area or it is out of your area?
yeah, we don't focus on that topic. We focus mostly just kind of broadly homeopathy. And one of the things we tell people, because some people think homeopathy is like supplements and vitamins, and I just say in general, overall, homeopathy is for when you're sick. And I think that's just easier for people to kind of digest, the whole milk before meat, you know, just kind of focus on that. And that's really primarily what I use it for. And, you know, 99.9% of the time, you know, so that's what we focus on, and politically that's the best angle to go. And then I do want to talk about kind of the success, like what is the results? Like we went to Washington, D.C., we did all of this. What happened after that? What were the results after the event? Jim, did you want to add anything before I go into that?
Oh, well, I just, I did want to add just a couple key things, I think. One is that a couple of months before the group went up on Capitol Hill, another group of folks came in January to Washington, and they actually went to every single office on Capitol Hill, all 535 members, plus all of the committees that were appropriate, and left information about what was going to happen in April. And they said, save the day, be aware, understand, so that there was already a beginning of an opening about homeopathy. Now, I also wanted to say that the Hahnemann statue, which you saw, which is at the corner of 16th and Massachusetts Avenue, right across the circle from Daniel Webster. First of all, Dr. Hahnemann is the only MD who has a statue in Washington. It was dedicated by President McKinley. There were about 100 leading Americans in the committee that dedicated it, and there were hundreds of people in the audience. This is in 1900, and Dr. Hahnemann was hailed as the founder of modern medicine at that point. That was just on the verge of the beginning of the pharmaceutical industry, which actually took off about 10 years later. And it's very important to understand that homeopathy played an enormous role in the health of the American public all the way up through the end of the 19th century. It went into eclipse largely because of the use of pharmaceuticals and the huge amount of marketing that went into pharmaceuticals, and kind of overshadowed homeopathy, and then particularly in dealing with various kinds of infectious diseases with antibiotics toward the end of the 1930s. But those things have all had side effects that have been seriously difficult, and the Hahnemann theories and attitudes are once again gaining really significant importance. And I wanted to add that, Paula, because it's important to know that the set of ideas that are homeopathy have a long history of a great contribution. It's been recognized by the society, and it is poised to really become much more widespread than it currently is. That's one of the reasons we need as many people as possible to step up and help move this forward, because the public is going to be asking for this in very large numbers, and we need to make sure the infrastructure of homeopathy is capable of handling the demand that's going to emerge. And it is emerging. Homeopathy right now is the fastest growing non-pharmaceutical modality in the American healthcare system.
You know what, if I can add this too, people in this country, especially the United States, need to understand how rich homeopathy's history is in the United States. Mm-hmm. Until about the time that this statue was dedicated, the homeopathy was the largest medical care approach of choice in this country. We had homeopathic universities, homeopathic hospitals, homeopathic pharmacies. There is the wonderful Hahnemann Memorial statue that's there in Washington, D.C., there is no other structure like that in the entire world for a medical professional. So it's something that we really need to have confidence in and really need to take seriously about when we look at homeopathy's rich history here in the United States. and what homeopathy really is all about.
And over 5 million people use homeopathy. So that is really, really great. We have to protect. Paula, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I love this. I think it's so important, because, we get in this mindset nowadays, Kathy, where we think new is therefore better, that everything old is bad. And homeopathy is a 200-year system of medicine. Well, I would say, yeah, new sometimes is better, but how about new pharmaceutical drugs? Are those better and great and fantastic? Do you want to be first in line for the brand new drug that just came out on the market? I mean, it is a known thing. The longer a drug has been on the market, the more we know about it. The more we find out about its side effects. Drugs are pulled off the market quietly every year by pharmaceutical companies. Well, how about medicine? Can effective medicine, the longer it's been on the market, what does that tell you? It tells you that we know a lot about that medicine, and homeopathy is inherently safe. Going back to the legal argument, there's a reason why homeopathy has such a great track record. It's inherently safe, and there's a reason that FDA has treated homeopathy different from the process made for pharmaceutical drugs. There's a reason for that, and it's 200 years of extremely safe use, 0 deaths and disabilities. Thank you to this wonderfully wonderful medicine. How do you like that? Wonderfully wonderful. So,
Paula, since we have a couple more minutes, and would you like to tell your upcoming projects and how one can support your mission?
Yes, I'm living overseas right now, and the sun is like setting a lot faster than I'm used to. Fall is here, so I'm turning on another light here. Yeah, so what we're doing moving forward is we seek at all times to unite the homeopathy organizations together. Right now, what we're really working on is a public information plan. And this public information plan is something that we're getting a lot of support from. This is a photo of us here in front of the Food and Drug Administration at our last meeting. You see there's 3 gentlemen in the back and 3 ladies in the front. In the back row, we have the guy in the middle. His name's Kurt, and he's our public relations specialist, and he's wonderful. And what we have done is we've realized that as we communicate with Congress, it's important that all the homeopathy organizations throughout the United States have a unified message, have a message about homeopathy that is politically digestible, right? Politically digestible and appropriate to help them understand homeopathy. And if we're all coming at it at different topics at different angles, it can actually have a negative impact on all the progress that we've done. So I'd love to invite your organization to learn about our public information plan. If you're part of a homeopathy organization that's local, like we've talked to the Washington Homeopathy Association, all these different associations, we're asking that you learn about our PR plan and participate in it. We've made it very, very affordable, because the more people that participate, the more groups, that participate, the more affordable it can be. And so we've created this wonderful public information plan that we would love for you guys to participate in. It's really, really impressed a lot of organizations. We were hoping to get about 8 organizations to participate in the United States, and it's getting close to double that who are going to participate. And what's really neat about this is I've heard people say this. Tell me if you've heard this before, Kathy. Putting a bunch of getting homeopaths and homeopathic organizations to work together is like trying to herd cats. Have you heard that before?
Pretty much. Yeah.
And I think we're reaching this historic time in the United States where we are connecting and collaborating in a way that we have never done before. And this PR project is turning out to be that. We're just now releasing it. We're moving along with it. I would love to invite your organization to consider it. It's very affordable, less than $100 a month. That's like getting, 5 people to donate $20 a month for this plan. And we're doing a 4-month study on it. So there's a 4-month kind of end date for us to reassess, and then, continue it on after that to make sure that we're being wise with our money and we're making it work as effectively as possible. So I know that we're running out of time, and I can just give you just really basic. Why don't we just flip through these slides real quick? The first part of this plan is to have this public information is to have an emergency plan. This is a template that we are creating that if anything hits the news about homeopathy in a negative way, we'll be able to respond quickly to that. So that's what that template is all about. So we're going to have that. Then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to train a PR person in every single organization that participates. So for example, Americans for Homeopathy Choice will have a public relations liaison. So if someone from my organization approaches me and says, hey, Paola, we got contacted by such and such newspaper asking for an interview on this subject, they would talk to their media liaison and we'd be able to navigate, is this a situation where they're trying to bait us into a bad interview so that it appears like they're looking at both sides of the issue? Or is this a situation that we can respond and here's the guidance that we would offer? So media liaisons can help coach your members if they're approached from the outside, because what I have found is a lot of the negative things that happen to homeopathy are actually really preventable as far as public news level goes. Then the next thing we're doing is we're having on-call assistance. So let's say your media liaison gets a question from one of your members and they don't know how to answer it. Well, then it can get leveled up to our PR guy and he'll be able to kind of answer those questions. And then another thing that's going to be made available as part of this is a media kit, so that reporters, when they go to your website, they have a very professional package that's prepared that answers basic questions in a way that's appropriate for a journalist to get good information about homeopathy. And I'll just show you an example of something in the media kit. If you show them slide number 16, this is kind of an infographic. This is appropriate for the United States. Homeopathy is a federally recognized form of medicine backed by thousands of research studies, papers, and clinical trials. And then we do a little breakdown about how the law works in America. But what I love about this statement is that it's irrefutable. Homeopathy is a federally recognized form of medicine. People who oppose homeopathy are going to have a very hard time arguing with that. And it's backed by thousands of research papers, studies, and clinical trials. Again, another irrefutable fact. And this is something that was prepared by a highly trained, intelligent PR guy that is helping us get that message out appropriately. And then the last part of this homeopathy project is the Homeopathy Action Team. And what we're creating is small grassroots organizations or individuals throughout the United States who are trained to talk about homeopathy. This can be a consumer, this can be a practitioner, but what they're doing is they're contacting their local newspapers, because you're gonna have a much higher chance of getting a fair newspaper story at the local level, not at the national level, where things are bought and paid for. At the local level, it's about public information, and it's about connecting and learning from your local individuals. I mean, local papers is a whole different ballgame. So we're being proactive, we're getting our message out there, but we're doing it in a way that the truth about homeopathy can get out. Jim, do you want to say anything about that?
Yes, Jim, we have few minutes left, and if there are any questions in the chat, we would love to.
Yes, that's good too.
Madeline and Amnon, do you have any questions you want to?
No, Kathy has just put in here that this has been a very enlightening show, and she wants to thank you for all that you're saying, Paula and Jim. And I'm very impressed. Because I really want us to help educate the public. I think it's very important that we educate them to the fact of what homeopathy is, but how old it is, because there's a lot of new young people, they don't know.
That's right.
Right?
That's exactly right. We need to get fresh blood.
We need, yes, absolutely. And I'm delighted by your coming on today. So thank you both very, very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paula and Jim, for sharing your immense knowledge, and there is a lot of information to carry. And everyone, as we have the website homeopathychoice.com. .org, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
The homeopathychoice.org. That's right. And if you're interested in this PR plan, again, we don't have that part is not very public on our website because we don't want to make it that easy for the other guys to get to it. But if you're on a board of an organization that involves homeopathy or even involves natural medicine, if you feel or in any way you feel like it connects, please contact us on our website. You can send us an email and say, we'd like to learn more about your PR plan, and we can get you some information. Definitely visit our website, homeopathychoice.org. Look at how you can get involved as a volunteer. We love volunteers, and they're the backbone of what we do. And also visit our website if you want to donate, and donate just a one-time amount, or you can join the Bear Pack by donating $25 a month and get all the member benefits that you get from doing that.
And if we have anyone listening who's part of a mother's group of any kind, right? Just
That's
listening, and you could be part of a PTA, right?
I mean, you might not even know how to pronounce homeopathy.
Exactly.
We want you involved and participating. We'll get you learning about it and helping us.
Thank you so much, Paul and Jim, for joining.
Thank you very much.
And let me tell our upcoming events. In January 11th and 12th, 2020, we have HPWWC conference. Kathy Lemon, our HWC board member, is doing that. It's a very big international conference, and on homeoprophylaxis at New Delhi. So anyone interested, they can tune into the website hpwwc2020.org, right, Kathy?
Yes, that is correct. That's the current conference website.
Registration is open, and all the sponsors or everyone are most welcome. And in October 26th, we have at noon Eastern HWC webinar, and that is with the NCH board member, who is Loretta Butan. She will be speaking about homeopathy and addiction. And on November 12th, we have a health show at same time, 10 a.m. Eastern, and that is with the Dr. Regina. About case study about cancer treatment. And on November 30th at noon Eastern, we have HWC webinar with NASH President Tanya Kell, who will be speaking about professional associates, what they need, what they are, and why we need them. On December 10th, we have Kate Birch on Health Show at same time, 10 a.m. Eastern, and she will be speaking about glyphosate toxicity, compounding disease pathways. And on December 21st, we have HWC webinar with Dr. Praveen Kumar on the treatment of HIV and AIDS. There is so much going on in homeopathy world community. So stay tuned to the homeopathy world community website, and if we are available on the Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, we have study groups, we have HNA providing credits and other credits. So there is a lot of stuff, and for nominal fee of $20, you can become a member and can learn and share so much knowledge. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Amnon, and everyone, Paola, Jim, everyone, and all the
Thank
audience.
you.
I'm not able to see the chat, but thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Do you have anything last few seconds or minutes to say?
No, I think this was great. I appreciate it.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.